Hello, I'm John David Bruja on location, standing in front of Wings Neck Lighthouse in Massachusetts, and welcome to a special edition of John's Traveling Movie Corner. United States Lighthouse Society presents Cape Cod and Islands Tour. Well, it's a new day, so that means it's more new lighthouses. But this time it's in episode 2 of John's Traveling Movie Corner, United States Lighthouse Society Cape Cod and Islands Tour. Today we'll be taking another ferry, but this time to Nantucket Island, where we hope to see 6 lighthouses today, maybe a life-saving station, and hopefully climb one of the lighthouses. Well, we start off the new day with a bonus light. The Hyannis Harbor Lighthouse. Congress appropriated $2,000 for the light, and in 1849 it was first lit. 1850 they appropriated $800 for a keeper's house, and in 1856 a 5th order lens was installed. It was decommissioned in 1929 and the lantern was removed. It was bought and sold several times over the years. New owners took over in 1985, and they transferred the keeper's dwelling so they could store their antiques. And then they put a unique lantern room on top of the tower in 1986 and added red stripes to the lighthouse. Once we reached the dock, we took a ferry, but this time to Nantucket Island. And along the way we saw lighthouses. The first one, Port Gammon, built in 1816 at a height of 70 feet. It was deactivated in 1858. It was Cape Cod's 4th lighthouse. Then it was Bishop and Clerks, or what was left of it, standing at 30 feet tall. It first arrived in 1858 and was deactivated in 1928. Then, as we got closer to Nantucket Island, in the distance I saw Nantucket Cliff Range Lights, which first arrived in 1838, the current set in 1903. And they were deactivated in 1912, and the second pair of lights are owned by the author of Cheaper by the Dozen. Finally, we saw the Old Brant Lighthouse and the Nantucket Harbor Range Lights surrounding it, and the Brant Lighthouse at the end of the island, all which we will see up close at the end of the day. We docked, boarded our shuttles, and went to our next mode of transport, 10 jeeps that will take us on the beach over to Great Point Lighthouse. Well, after some help of some great people in 10 different vehicles, we were able to make it to Great Point Lighthouse. It first arrived in 1874, the current one behind me in 1986, at a height of 66 feet. Located on the northernmost point on Nantucket Island, the original wooden structure was destroyed by a fire in 1816. A stone tower was built the following year, which finally toppled in a storm in 1984. And it was automated in 1955. Well, we reached Sankaty Lighthouse. It was established in 1850 at a height of 70 feet tall. It was automated in 1965 and is still in operation. It was the first lighthouse in the U.S. to receive a Fresnel lens, a second order Fresnel lens. A telegraph and telephone lines were installed in 1886, and a large wooden duplex in 1887, and a brick oil house in 1892. The Fresnel lens was replaced in 1950. Personnel stayed there until 1992, and in the early 1990s, all buildings were removed. And as you can see by the erosion behind me, Sankaty Lighthouse was moved in 2007, 390 feet to the northeast, 250 feet from the cliff. In 2008, it opened to the public. It made it all the way up to the tower of Sankaty Lighthouse. 72 steps, no, 74 steps. 62 plus 10 on the ladder. Well, after our lighthouse, we decided to pull over and check out the Egan Maritime Institute's Shipwreck and Life-Saving Museum. And behind me is a first order lens from Great Point, which we saw earlier today. And inside, they have a lens from Brant Point. It was for their 9th lighthouse. The Egan Maritime Shipwreck and Life-Saving Museum was founded in 1968 and was the first museum in America dedicated to the life-saving service. We now arrived at Brant Point Lighthouse. The one behind me is the new lighthouse. It was established in 1746. The current one, 1901, at a small 26 feet in height. And it was automated in 1965, but it's still operating today. And yes, this is the 10th lighthouse at this point, the most of any lighthouses in the U.S. Brant Point Lighthouse is the second oldest lighthouse in the United States. Behind me is the Old Brant Point Lighthouse, also established in 1746, with the current at 1856 at a height of 47 feet tall. And you can see the 2 range lights on either side of it, known as the Nantucket Harbor range lights. The rear one stands at 46 feet in height, and the front one, known as the Reef Range front light, stands at 30 feet, and both have been operating since 1908. Well, that concludes this day of traveling to lighthouses in Nantucket Island. We got to see some bonus lighthouses, Brant, Old and New, Sankaty, and Great Point Lighthouse, and a life-saving station museum. Well, we begin another new day of checking out more lighthouses in the Massachusetts area. There won't be any ferry rides, boat rides, or anything like that. We're going to pretty much be on the bus. We hope to see 4 lighthouses: the Lighthouse Inn, Nauset Beach Light, the Three Sisters, and Highland, or known as Cape Cod Light. And we hope to climb all 4 of them. And who knows, there might be a museum or a life-saving station along the way. Well, we reached our first lighthouse of the day, and it's rather unique. It's the Lighthouse Inn, also known as Bass River Lighthouse. Bass River, or Lighthouse Inn, was first lit May 1st, 1855. It was extinguished in 1880 since the new light was built in Chatham. A year later, it was relit again and served until 1914. It was sold in an auction in 1917 to Harry Noyes, who enlarged the main house, added buildings, landscape grounds, but unfortunately died in 1933. The property sat for 5 years until Everett and Gladys Stone purchased it for $20,000 and became the new owners. In 1938, they took in guests to help pay for the mortgage, and in 1939 started using the dining room run by their son, who would later marry a waitress they hired earlier in 1942. Like many of the lighthouses we've seen on this trip, this one also has been used for a backdrop of TV shows and movies, including The Storied Life of A.J. Fickrey, filmed in 2014. Well, I was able to make it up to West Dennis Lighthouse, or Lighthouse Inn, or Bass River. You just take your pick. It started as Bass River Lighthouse, then it became the Lighthouse Inn, and in 1988 it was christened to become the West Dennis Lighthouse. Well, we made a quick stop at the Salt Pond Visitor Center in East Ham, Massachusetts, to check out the Cape Cod National Shoreline exhibit in the museum and to check out a 4th order Fresnel lens. Well, we've reached our next lighthouse, the Nauset Lighthouse. And yes, it's another one I get to climb, the 44 steps all the way up to the top. It was established in 1877, but the one you see behind us, the current one, is first lit in 1923. It stands at a height of 48 feet, automated in 1955 and deactivated in 1996. Originally built in 1877, it was dismantled and rebuilt 200 feet from the ledge of the cliff with a fourth order lens. The previously all-white tower had its portion painted red in 1940. It was relit in 1997 as a private aid to navigation. When it was moved 336 feet from the edge of the cliff, it only took 2 days to its current location in 1996. In 1998, the keeper's house was reunited with the lighthouse. Okay, follow me here. What came first? It was the Three Sisters lighthouses, but then unfortunately they fell over the cliff, so they had to rebuild 3 more. 2 were discontinued and later sold, and the 1 remained here until that was discontinued. Then they brought one of the twin towers from Chatham Lighthouse and brought it over here, and that's the lighthouse you see behind me today. That's right, I made it all the way up the 44 steps to Nantucket Lighthouse, and I had a chance to go up the stairs behind me to check out the lights as they rotate. Well, we haven't made it to Three Sisters yet, but guess what? We're almost there. Well, we left Nauset Light and now we are at the Three Sisters of Nauset. Established in 1838, the current ones behind me in 1892, because when they first arrived, the first 3 actually fell off the cliff. The Three Sisters lighthouses stand at 29 feet tall and are located just off Cable Road. There's approximately 100 feet between each tower. The 3 towers and a 20 by 34 foot 2-story keeper's house was built in 38 days for $6,500. In 1856, the lights were upgraded from lamps to a 6-order Fresnel lens. In 1863, they were upgraded again to a 4th order lens. If you notice, 2 of the lights are missing their lanterns. New lights 30 feet west of the original came in 1892. In 1898, the Portland Gale moved 2 of the 3 lighthouses, and the 2 lights were auctioned off for $3.50. In 1911, it was reduced to 1 light, and it was the middle sister that was attached to the keeper's house. In 1923, Chatham Light moved to Nauset, and the 3rd sister sold for $10. The National Park Service obtained all 3 lights, and in 1983, all 3 lights were located here. I may have only been 15 steps, but I made it up one of the Three Sisters lighthouses. We got a bonus. They actually not opened just 1, but they opened 2. We just only could climb 1. Now a quick drive-by where the Mayo's Beach Lighthouse used to be in Wellfleet, Massachusetts, before it moved to California and become the Point, Montana Light. But the keeper's house and oil house still remains here. Quite a story. Well, we are at our final lighthouse of the day, Hyannis Lighthouse, known as Cape Cod Lighthouse. In 1794, more vessels were wrecked on east shore of Truro than any other in Cape Cod. President George Washington signed a bill approving $8,000 for construction of Cape Cod's first lighthouse. The first light on Cape Cod arrived in 1797 at a height of 45 feet tall. The current one behind us came in 1857 at 66 feet tall. And of course, there is a golf course surrounding it. And it is only the 7th to be built by the U.S. government. Hyannis Lighthouse is the first light seen when entering Massachusetts Bay. Rebuilt as a 30-foot brick tower in 1854 for $25,000. Construction in 1856 for a light, 3 dwellings for keepers and 2 assistants. Completed it at $17,000 in 1857. It contained a first order lens, which was left in until 1946. And in 1996, $1.5 million was raised to move the light 453 feet from the cliff's edge. This rock here signifies where the lighthouse used to be from 1857 to 1996. Then they moved it all the way back to its current location. I made it up 69 steps to the top of Hyannis Lighthouse. Well, before we ended the day, we decided to go to the Old Harbor Life-Saving Station Museum. Located at Race Point Beach in Provincetown, Massachusetts, Old Harbor Life-Saving Station was built in 1897, but was originally located at Nauset Beach. The station was decommissioned in 1944 and moved to its current location in 1977. We had a chance to check out the many artifacts and exhibits describing the history of life-saving situations in the Cape Cod area. Well, that wraps up today's travels through Cape Cod. We got to see 4 plus a couple extra lighthouses, and we got to climb 4 of them. And we also got to check out a visitor center and see a Fresnel lens and go to Old Harbor Life-Saving Station. And I would like to take this moment to thank the volunteers and staff at the Lighthouse Inn for providing us an excellent breakfast, and for Barbara Stone giving us a tour all the way up to the lighthouse. I'd like to thank the volunteers and staff for providing us access all the way up to the top of Nauset Lighthouse. I would like to thank the volunteers and staff at Hyannis Lighthouse for allowing us inside and all the way up to the lantern room. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm John David Bruja, on location at Race Point Lighthouse in Massachusetts. This has been a special edition of John's Traveling Movie Corner. United States Lighthouse Society presents the Cape Cod and Islands Tour. I hope you enjoyed the ride.
Yeah.